All right, Forza Faithful, we are back. We're talking about the throwing circle here. And if you've been watching any of the prior videos about the throwing circle and how everything came together, I'm going to start this little video series here, kind of take you behind the scenes, a peek behind the curtain, if you will, of just what the book is really about, right? So the book's about Lewis and I, our 3 years together at NAS, and we talk about that junior year that I wasn't there, and how we built a relationship together that was able to get him where he wanted to go, right? So Lewis had these great goals, these great aspirations that we put plans together in place to help him get there. And we worked together, and there was a lot of autonomy, and there was a lot of learning, a lot of struggles, a lot of conversations about life, which essentially most of the senior year conversations were about life. There really wasn't much else. We knew he was going to graduate. We knew he was on track, graduated with honors, like all of these things. But our practices started turning into life conversations. And things didn't start that way. So the book is really broken down into 3 separate sections with multiple chapters found within. So essentially the first chapter is how Lewis and I came together, right? Our first section rather, my start at NAS, and how Lewis and I developed basically his freshman year. So the whole first section is a coach and athlete are coming together. And I've written blogs and other posts about that, about the bigger picture, like track meets, like practice, but this section really digs into those more intimate conversations that Lewis and I had, right? What it means to be focused on track, like how we could set healthy habits for, the lifestyle that he had his freshman year, how his performances in the weights indoor helped transcend him into a much better and more efficient thrower outdoor with the hammer, learning the discus, not really falling in love with the shot put. But early on, like I've written before and I've talked about, things were not going well at all. And I've talked about it in little snippets, like bigger pieces about that. But what this section really digs into is a lot of the sidebar conversations. The conversations that E8's his freshman year as a weight thrower. The sidebar conversations, the first couple meets that we had with the hammer, with fouling out, with how to prepare for a conference meet, how to not listen to the noise and really pay much attention to what others were doing or how others may have perceived what we were doing with coaching and with learning and with throwing. And even though a lot of it is really, I'd say like 75-25 for this first section is about, Lewis's, me writing from Lewis's perspective, and he's read this, so he knows there aren't going to be any secrets or surprises or anything, because we wanted to be honest and let people know our story. And early going, things did not go really well at all. I had a couple conversations with his dad at school when I was working at the same school that his dad was, and we really learn a lot about each other. I learned a lot about coaching again, where I coached at Fredonia before, and it was a very short time, and there was a long time in between coaching at Fredonia and coaching at NAS. Like we're talking like officially coaching, where it wasn't just like consulting or volunteer or kind of coaching, but not really. There was like 8 years. So I was learning how to be a better coach at the same time I was trying to work with these freshman athletes and our upperclassmen and how to really look at it from a different perspective, a paradigm shift for me in regard to, not everybody wants to be great, which still kind of hurts my feelings, but that's another section of the book. But meeting athletes where they were, and essentially looking at coaching as like I was teaching in a classroom. And that's really a lot of what I do now, but with the backdrop of my classroom work and like leadership work. And it was really difficult at first for me to kind of give up the reins a little bit. And I talk about that and some of the struggles that I had and the conversations I had with my own mentors about the difficulties and the struggles of working with freshmen. One who had experience throwing, who thought he wanted to play lacrosse, who thought he wanted to play hockey, to another freshman who had never thrown before, but wanted to learn. He wanted to get better, and he really wanted to invest in throwing and what we were doing. So that's really the backdrop of section 1 of the book, and each of the different chapters are more or less moments in time throughout the course of his freshman season. So really we're looking at the fall when we first met. We're looking at the situation that he encountered with his advisor, being ineligible to practice his fall semester of his freshman year because he was under 12 credit hours, and the NCAA says you can't practice, you can't be on a sports team if you don't have 12 credit hours, if you're not considered full-time. And we worked through that. That was very, very challenging for me. I had never did virtual coaching, although he really wasn't virtually coaching him per se is throwing, because we didn't have space to, and he wasn't able to, not even on his own, but more of, hey, this is what you can do in the weight room, this is the type of contact we would have, I think you're doing a great job. We were sending videos back and forth with each other. So a lot of his freshman year, that fall semester, was really non-contact as far as in person. And talk about trying to develop a positive relationship with an athlete when you are not essentially able to engage with them, right? It was really difficult, and there were a lot of struggles for me as to, am I doing a good job? Am I communicating enough with him? Is it working for him? Is he going to get what he needs out of me? So that's really the first section of the book. Broken up by chapters is our story, our introduction to each other, and how really we get going. So I appreciate everyone's time and watching, and I've received a whole bunch of messages about pre-ordering the book, and it is just so amazing to be sitting here, driving, making these videos for everybody to consume, and just this is where we're at. We're gonna have a book about track and field that's gonna be on bookshelves like Barnes and Noble and Target and Costco, and we're there, fam. Forza fam. We're making it. We are making it as full-time researcher, pseudo, part-time track and field coach. We can make it, and we're gonna get there, and we're gonna get there together.